There we are, live. So it says. Um, just a second. I'm going to take a peek at the stream here on Facebook to make sure the audio is okay because audio has been such a motherfucker lately, and I don't want to find out after the fact that everything was a fucking mess. So, what do we got? Facebook to make sure the audio is Yep. Okay. There we go. It's all good. Let me close that. Let me close that. Come on, motherfucker. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. There we go. Okay. Good. Taken care of. I may have hit the old pen a little bit too hard before getting started this evening. I hope, by the way, while you watched me fumble with my phone, you were at least able to enjoy the massive heaving bosoms on the screen next to my head there. They are camouflage ensconced with a pair of dog tags down the middle of the cleavage. A salute to the troops. It was Veterans Day. It was the Marine Corps birthday. So we have big tits for the troops, and I'll be keeping them up the whole time throughout this episode. Whenever we do an episode for the troops, we celebrate by leaving big tits up the entire time. Just a special way to start the show and keep things going. In any case, if you know someone who likes big tits who doesn't know about Sacktap Live, give him a heads up. Tell him to head on over to facebook.com/the Savage Crew, or find Mike Montone on YouTube. You can also find me at Mike Montone on Twitter, at Gary_Moyler, Moyler, on Instagram, and the podcast, The Savage Sacktap. If for some bizarre reason you are not a fan of big tits, but still want to hear what I have to say about the issues of the day and other, non sequiturs from my daily life, you can get the audio version, the Savage Sacktap, everywhere podcasts are downloaded, to my knowledge anyway. I think it's in pretty much all the podcatchers. Again, if it's not, let me know. I'll put it in whichever fucking one you want. So yeah, check it out. I highly recommend checking out the video because, like I said, we've got big tits. But again, if you're, for whatever reason, not a fan of big tits, then feel free to check out the audio version. And with that, enough preamble. What do you say we get this fucking thing on the old road ski? Some gave all and never returned home to their families again. Others spent a 6-month deployment jerking off inside of an air-conditioned trailer on a well-defended fob and now enjoy a free meal from Applebees every 11th of November. Whoever you are and wherever you served, this one's for you. A fresh episode of the Savage Sacktap starts now.
You're listening to the Savage Sacktap. It's not a podcast, it's not a half-cast, it's just a quick shot to the balls to help you finish off the week. We're cutting through the bullshit, filling your Friday with rage-fueled logic, and cracking a few jokes along the way. So grab a bag of frozen peas. There's a Savage Sacktap coming your way.
Smooth, lascivious, salacious, outrageous.
That is right. It is, it's Veterans Day week. It's the Marine Corps birthday week, which I know the other branches are more into Veterans Day. Marines don't give, I don't think, as much of a shit about Veterans Day as everyone else because the Marine Corps birthday is on November 10th, and we'll get into that in a moment. But first, I do want to point out that I am rocking a Riverdale Hawks t-shirt tonight. The Glen Rock Panthers, the team that I played for, got their fucking asses handed to them in the first round of the playoffs last week. You saw me wearing that shirt. The Riverdale Hawks, the team that I coached for several years, won their first round game. They have a semifinal game tonight, so I had to represent the the boys. They were a lot of fun to coach. Coaching high school football was the shit. Those kids are cool as fuck. If you have a chance to do it, if you're like a football guy, if you used to play, I would definitely highly recommend spending a couple years coaching football at some level. It's very incredibly rewarding. So I was always follow up on the teams that I was involved with, and it's nice to see them being very successful. With that said and out of the way, we will get to the real business of the day, which is talking about the Marine Corps. This is the Marine Corps birthday edition of the Savage Sacktap, Sacktap Live. And we'll do it kind of... I have some things here that I'm going to talk about and get into. I'll go through like my whole process of being in, what it was like being in the Marine Corps. But I'll also be looking at the... I'm going to keep the, I guess the comments I'll be popping in every couple minutes just to see what's up. And so if you have any questions, this is just kind of we'll AMA it as well. If there are things that I'm not mentioning that you're curious about life in the Marine Corps, if you're watching the live stream, just fire away and I will answer as best I can. So like I was saying, Marines, I think, tend to give more of a shit about the Marine Corps birthday than they do Veterans Day. The Marine Corps is obsessed with its birthday. I don't know that the other branches of the military are, and I guess there are a few reasons why the Marine Corps birthday is so important. To give you an idea of just kind of why the fuck I'm highlighting the Marine Corps this week. It was because November 10th is the Marine Corps birthday. There have been numerous times throughout the course of American history where it's been suggested that the Marine Corps be, disbanded and that the responsibilities be just kind of delegated out to the other branches of the service because the Marine Corps is a ground, air, and land. That's what the MAGTAF, the Marine Air Ground Task Force, that's what it is. It just encompasses the entirety of the battlefield. The Marine Corps can do it all, but in that spirit, then, if you're trying to save numbers on a budget somewhere at the Department of Defense, you might suggest, hey, why are we supporting another branch of the military to do all this stuff? Why don't we just absorb, the air elements into the Air Force, the ground elements into the Army, and the kind of the sea elements, the sea, that part already is kind of with the Navy because the Marine Corps exists within the Department of the Navy, the Navy. But in any case, it has come up frequently that we would be fine without a Marine Corps. So when the Marine Corps makes it to another birthday, it's a big deal. We survived another year. They didn't get rid of us. So in that vein, we celebrate our existence, which is a very Marine Corps thing to do. Because the essence of the Marine Corps is that you run to the sound of the guns, right? That's, first to fight, tip of the spear, fucking shape the battlefield, all that shit. When something goes down, they're the first ones in on 24 hours notice. So you appreciate being alive right now because you might not make it through the next foot patrol, right? Fucking Marines have a long history of dying. So on that note, it's a celebration of every Marine. So if a Marine dies and doesn't make it, they're not forgotten. Because so many guys, especially if I'm reading about the battle for Okinawa right now, and this is World War II. You think about like what the country looked like back then, and there were a lot of just like poor dudes from farms and shit, the lower class of American society who maybe didn't have families or whatever, going and just fucking dying by the dozens in a fucking jungle in the South Pacific. If that's you kind of want to know that you're going to be remembered. Like, you're not going to be forgotten just into the mud of the Okinawan jungle. So a big part of the reason the Marine Corps celebrates its birthday is to make sure that those guys went out on missions and didn't come back are not forgotten, no matter who they were. No matter if they came from some fucking poor ass coal mining town in West Virginia, or if they were from a wealthy family from the Hamptons or wherever. So that's another piece of it. And the way the Marine Corps celebrates, it's fun. I mean, it's like I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. It's like the Marine Corps prom almost. Like you get dressed up in your dress blues, you get fucking wasted. I think my last one on Okinawa, one of my Marines wound up banging a member of the wait staff that night because the ball was held right near the barracks, so he just fucking picked her up and took her back and pounded her out. Hoorah! Great job, Marine. So yeah, it's fun. It's a reason. The Marine Corps is a. You have to understand, the Marine Corps, as cool as being in the fucking Marine Corps is, it's also a miserable fucking job. Like, just the places that you have to defecate and jerk off alone when you're on, like, a deployment or out in the field or whatever, those conditions would make most people hate their fucking lives. And then you mix in the fact that, like, you're going out on field exercises, it's fucking 40 degrees and fucking raining, and you're out in a mud hole for, a week, 10 days, whatever, sitting in the fucking defense, holding on to a metal weapon that's fucking cold. It's just it's fucking miserable. It's like, it's cool, you get like you get kind of a macho rush out of it, but it's fucking miserable. So the birthday, it comes right before the holidays, right before Thanksgiving. It kind of kicks off the end of the work year, and it just gives you a chance to get hammered with your buddies and chill out. And if you're a civilian and you used to be in the Marine Corps, it's just it kind of gives you a minute to remember all of the shit that you did, all of the fun times, all of the miserable times, and to a reminder to check in with your buddies. Check in with the guys that you served with, guys that you deployed with. I know guys who are still in touch with their fucking drill instructors. That's kind of weird. But yeah. So it's all of that. It's just an all-encompassing way to keep Marine Corps culture alive, whether that's the actual maintenance of the Marine Corps existing and not getting disbanded by Congress, or for the actual fucking spirit of being in the Marine Corps, for the individual. People always ask, I guess the most frequent question you get asked is like, why? Like, what the fuck were you thinking? I was during a two-theater war, but it had been kind of a waning two-theater war. I was in high school when 9/11 happened, so I feel like that probably, I guess that had a lot to do with it. I had been fascinated by the Marine Corps since I was like a fucking child. I just remember seeing those commercials where the guy fights a fucking dragon and there's like a chessboard and he's climbing a cliff in a wife beater. I was like, oh, this is fucking cool. And then 9/11 happened, and a bunch of people that I went to high school with wound up serving in one manner or another, and a couple guys from my graduating class actually enlisted in the Marine Corps like right out of high school, like, and left within like a fucking month of graduation. Well, one of those guys actually wound up getting wounded very badly during the Battle of Fallujah, and it was a guy I'd been friends with since fucking kindergarten. So that had a lot to do with it, like kind of not wanting to sit on the sidelines while people that I grew up with were fighting in the war on terror, I guess is a good way to put it. And then the idea of working a desk job just fucking disgusted me when I was, 21, 22, about to graduate college. It just really, I wanted no fucking part of it. So I was like, all right, well, I still kind of want to join the Marine Corps. I just spent 4 years in college, so I was like, okay, I may as well try the OCS thing. If that doesn't work out, I can always go to boot camp. I can, be a reservist and use my degree to do something else. Figure it out down the line. So I was like, fuck it. I got in touch with the officer selection officer. People told me I was fucking retarded for doing so, which I understand. Especially like, dude, I was just pounding beers, smoking weed, and lifting weights at a liberal arts college. So the culture shift from that to the Marine Corps was fucking huge. I mean, your first, like, OCS, it's fucking miserable. It is hands down. I would so much rather, I would go, if you're like, all right, 10 weeks in Ramadi versus 10 weeks at OCS, give me the fucking 10 weeks in Ramadi. I will risk IEDs and death by sniper and all of that other shit. Fuck OCS. You get fucked with constantly. Like, just fucked with. It's the only way to describe it. Like, I'm trying to think. After you go on runs in the morning, PT runs, you go back in and you shower fucking nuts to butts, just lined up marching in a circle around this cold ass nozzle of water, fucking your fucking tip dangling inches away from your buddy's ass crack. That's just it's so fucking degrading. And then you have to, like, they count down while you're putting your uniform on, and if you don't do it fast enough, which you can never do it fast enough, they make you take articles of clothing off and put them back on, but faster. It's just the dumbest shit in the world, repeated over and over again. They're constantly making you run back and forth, just for no reason. Just go over there right now. Get back. Go over there. Get back. Go over there. Come back. Go over there. Come back. Just fucking endlessly. I remember there's a bridge they have to march over to get to the chow hall. And like the pillars underneath, they'll just take you and march you in circles around the pillar for like 15 minutes just to fuck with you before you go to eat lunch. Like, literally just to fuck with you. And like there's like they'll start you, stop you, start you, stop you, so you're crashing into the back of each other. Like if I'd imagine, like, if you pledged a fraternity, you got like a taste of it, but imagine it just infects every waking moment of your life for 10 fucking weeks. I would say the first four weeks or so are you get it the worst, because what they're basically trying to stress people out and get people to quit. And once you get to that point, they know that like you're probably beyond the point where you're gonna quit, because you're pretty much you're halfway through almost, and there would just be no fucking point to quitting. So the fucking with it doesn't ease off so much as you just kind of become fucking numb to it. But that's when they crank up, like they have all these leadership courses that you have to take, where they give you like an impossible task, like moving a fucking barrel over a ravine filled with water, but none of the shit that they've given you is effective in moving the barrel, so you just wind up dropping it in the fucking water and making an ass out of yourself. And basically they want to see how you react to being stressed out and having your plan completely fall apart. Like, if you lose your fucking mind and start yelling at people and make an ass out of yourself, you're gonna fail. If the plan falls apart and you fucking adapt and try to figure out something else and try to save it and just keep fucking going, you do well. And I remember the two most miserable of these. One was the night infiltration course where we had to crawl through. It was like late October. It was fucking freezing. We had to crawl through like this muddy peanut butter fucking colored trench underneath razor wire. And I remember being done with it, and you're fucking soaked and fucking cold. And we did a terrible job. And they took us back into the fucking squad bay and just made us stand there in our fucking wet skivvies and bare feet. That some guys still had their wet socks on, and they just had us standing there with the fucking bolt pulled back on our rifle, but like not all the way. Like, they wouldn't let us lock it back, and they just had us standing there for like an indefinite period of time, and then they'd let us relax slightly, and then they'd make us pull it back again for. It felt like it. It felt someone said it was about an hour. I don't know if that's true, but it was fucking miserable. Like, every fucking joint on your body is just frozen, and your fingers are super numb holding onto a fucking cold, wet rifle and holding a fucking charging port. But that fucking sucked. And the other moment of suck that I remember specifically was in the final leadership it's called Suli 2. It's the small unit leadership evaluation. And it's like the last one. Like, the boot camp kids go through the Crucible. It's like their 3-day fucking exercise. The officer candidates go through this Suli shit. You go through 2 of them. You know, one is at like week 5 or whatever, and then you do the second one is right before graduation. So this is like the last one. So if you're on the verge of getting, like, you know, dropped from the class, they drop a third of the class doesn't graduate. Like, they drop or quit about a third of the class. So like we started with like 300, and I think like probably like 200, 190 something graduate. So this can be like kind of a make or break thing. And ours was in the most miserable fucking weather. It was the last week of November. It was pouring rain for 3 days, and I remember they make you push water. Like, they just constantly make you stop and chug canteens full of water because they don't want people dehydrated, and they also know that having to piss out in the field is fucking miserable. And I just remember everyone was just like, fuck it, we're all soaked. At least pissing on yourself warms you up for a few minutes. And everyone was just pissing all over themselves. You go through, there's a swamp that you have to crawl through. It's called a Quigley, that all of the instructors piss in before, like, that morning they go out there and fucking piss at it. It's filled with snakes and shit. So that's fucking miserable. All in all, the Marine Corps, the M stands for fucking misery. Like, it is a very miserable occupation, but also a lot of fun. Because the upside to all of this is that, like, you get to go play with, like, machine guns and shit, and you're hanging out with, you know, a pretty like-minded group of people, so you have cool people to hang out with in the weekend, or on the weekend, in the fucking weekend. The fuck? In the weekend. I'm fucking retarded. It's dark beer season. Yeah, so as I was saying, a lot of fun on the, like, when you're not doing, like, miserable shit, a lot of fun, because you just go out and get fucked up with a bunch of meatheads and chase pussy. Which is kind of like, I think before you join, you're kind of like, yeah, this is one of the driving reasons behind this is that we're gonna do like this manly ass shit, and then we're gonna go out and we're just gonna chase pussy all over the fucking world, which is very much the case. Like, that is all you fucking do in your free time. Like, your free time in the Marine Corps is working out, drinking, and chasing pussy. When I was stationed in Virginia, because after you graduate OCS, you go to it's called the Basic School. It's also in Quantico, Virginia, and you're in the field about 2 weeks out of every month. It's a 6-month school, but then like on the weekends, it's your time. You do whatever the fuck you want. So we would just pile into my buddy's SUV. We would get this. It was back when, remember, like Four Loko and shit were popular. We would get this shit called Juice. It was just malt liquor that was filled with caffeine, and we'd go to either Atlantic City, Washington D.C., which is right nearby, or we'd find like a college campus to go party at, and just fucking chase tail. Oh, it was so much fun. Like, I know you're not, it's 2021. You're not allowed to enjoy chasing fucking tail anymore. But oh, what a fucking blast! Like, so sometimes you wouldn't get a hotel room, so we'd play this game called Fuck or Freeze, where if you couldn't find a chick to take you back to her place, you had to sleep in the car. Hence, you could either fuck or freeze. I didn't realize this at the time, but I was used as the bull in an Indian couple's cuckold fetish one night in D.C. I met this chick at a bar, and we started making out, and she's like, "Hey, you want to come back to my hotel room?" I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds wonderful." So she has, we get a cab, and she has the driver stop at a CVS so I can get condoms. So I grab like a 3-pack, and we get back to her hotel. It's a very nice hotel, and we go upstairs, and the room is pitch black, and I had to take a piss, so I step into, you go to a hotel room, the bathroom's usually like right there when you walk in. So I go in, I take a piss, and I step out, and the room is pitch black. She's already stripped down, and she leads me over to a bed on the far side of the room, and we start, engaging in amorous activity, and we're pretty fucking tuned up. So this goes on for a while, and like when you're drunk fucking. You go soft inside the condom, so you fucking take it off. She's gonna fucking blow you a little bit, and then you go to the next condom. Eventually you go through a fucking 3-pack, and you're just like, fuck it. Well, you seem safe. I can go ahead and raw dog. So eventually that's what it got to, and I fucking left a nice little cream pie. I get up, go to the bathroom, because at that point it kind of kicks in, like, hey, you just fucking raw dogged a complete fucking stranger within a couple hours of meeting her. You may want to wash your dick off with hot water. So I go, take a piss, give everything a nice quick scrubbing, and I step out, and now the fucking light's on, and there's another bed in the room, and there's this fucking just fully clothed Indian gentleman, what appears to be asleep. I don't fucking know, in the bed. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And she's like, oh, that's my friend Ravi. He really wants to fuck me, but I won't let him. I'm like, oh man, that guy's gonna be pissed if he wakes up. I had no idea what the fuck was going on. Like, I didn't know what cuckolding was at this point in my life. I was a very naive boy. she's like, so are you gonna? She's like, so are you gonna stay? I'm like, no, this fucking guy's gonna wake up. He's gonna be furious that I fucked you. So I, so I left, and I passed out in the fucking lobby, and eventually I was woken up by a fucking field trip, and then told I had to leave by security. Um, but it wasn't until like years later when I like learned about that cuckolding was a fetish. That I was like washing, when you're washing the dishes or like just like fucking walking and like all of a sudden you just have like one of those like oh shit moments. Um, I was just like, oh shit, I was a bull. So that's cool. That's cool. They don't. I feel like the Marine Corps should give a ribbon for that. It probably happens pretty frequently. There should be some sort of award for being used as the bull on Libo. But yeah, we would do a lot of shit like that. That was one of the more fun parts of being in the Marine Corps. After Virginia, I went down to North Carolina for combat engineer school, which was cool as fuck. Because pretty much I got down there in July and I was there until October, so it was like 4 months of playing with explosives and getting drunk on the beach in North Carolina and lifting weights. And I was like, oh yeah, this is why I joined the Marine Corps. Like there were a handful of like well-trafficked, really shitty strip clubs in town. And on Thursdays, after like they would end class early, and they would have a happy hour, and like it was just kind of like a chance for everyone to mingle, get to know each other. There were some higher-ranking officers there. They could kind of tell you about what life in the fleet will be like. You have a few drinks. There's pizza. It's a lot of fun. That would inevitably turn into okay. Call a fucking cab. We're going out to Driftwood. If you know Camp Lejeune, Driftwood and this other place, Cherries, out the back gate, were our two places of choice. And we would just spend the night hammering beers, smoking cigarettes, and looking at titties. And it was fucking great. And then you show up, you'd have a fucking unit run the next morning, and everyone fucking reeks of booze, cigarettes, and vomit. And yeah, it was awesome. Combat Engineer School fucking ruled. So I graduated that, and then I get sent out to Okinawa, Japan, where I was supposed to be working on it was the Ieshima matting project. I was going to be supervising the laying airfield mat on the island of Ieshima off the coast of Okinawa, which would have been as exciting as it fucking sounds. But there was a reserve battalion in California that was getting ready to go to Iraq, and they were short on infantry officers, so I was assigned to them. So I flew from Okinawa, I flew back to the U.S., and down to San Diego, where I joined up with 2nd Battalion, 23rd Marines, and we did a workup at Camp Pendleton, which is on the beach in Oceanside, or around Oceanside, San Clemente, and then we went out to the Mojave Desert, which is just an absolute fucking hellscape. But the training out there is good fucking training, as we say in the Marine Corps. We got to blow a lot of shit up, fire a lot of nice big guns. Like you get air support and shit out there. Like you'll be walking around, and you will find some big pieces of fucking unexploded ordnance out in that fucking desert, man. But it's out in fucking like Charlie Manson country. You get some good burritos out there, and we went to some place that had like snake and alligator and shit on the menu. So that was pretty sweet. It was a pretty cool way, like it's a cool way to ease into going to war, I would say, because like you get used to being in a remote place and just doing Marine Corps shit every fucking day for 3 months, and it's fucking the elements out there are no fucking joke either. Like it gets hot as fuck during the day, and it gets cold as fuck at night out in the Mojave Desert. But that was cool, and then came home for a week. Just got drunk as fuck every day for a week straight before leaving for Iraq. But being an infantry marine, and I'll get into Iraq in a minute, but being an infantry marine is the coolest fucking thing in the world. Like, it is the height of manhood. I had no plans to be an infantry officer. The infantry officers course is in Quantico. I was sick of being in fucking Quantico. I'd been there for 8 months. I had enough of fucking Quantico. Combat engineers seemed cool. I wanted to, make shit go boom. I loved explosives. The demo range was like the coolest fucking thing that we did at the basic school. So I was all in on being an engineer. But that being said, being an infantry officer is like the best fucking thing that ever happened to me. It's the height of manhood, and the meathead life chose me at a very young age. So like everyone I hang at, like my friends are all for the most part fucking beasts. Like my friends are, college athletes and Marine Corps officers are, make up the bulk of my male social group. So out of all of them though, the biggest fucking animals are the fucking Marine Corps officers. Just Marine Corps officers are a different breed of motherfucker, because they spend, you spend shitloads of time out in the fucking woods, just shitty fucking conditions, and you have to be a high first class physical fitness test to make it through the officer process. So you wind up working with some motherfucking savages. And like unassuming ones too. Like guys who you would see on the street and you'd be like, oh, he just looks like a fucking nerd. And then you find out that he's like a fucking jujitsu master who can run 3 miles in 17 minutes. And you're like, oh, that's a fucking killer. And I think a lot of this is why I think other dudes, especially in Hoboken and New York City, are just complete fucking pussies. Like, I like have to stop myself from doing it, like walking around and seeing like dudes on the street and at the gym and just being like, what a fucking bitch. Like, it's just, you just see so many, like, you just see the way fucking dudes carry themselves and like just comport themselves in a public place. And the gym, because it's such a physical place, you see it and you're just like, oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, you go from hanging out with like Marine Corps officers, infantry Marines, who are just fucking animals, and then you're around that shit and you're just like, motherfucker. Ugh. Like, you start to understand why people are like, oh, straight, well, like the war on straight white males, you kind of like, oh, I kind of get why people are fighting a war on straight white dudes. But yeah, the infantry is by far, I think, the manliest shit on the planet. It's lifting weights, blowing things up, struggling against the fucking wilderness for weeks and months at a time, and then going out in in a beach town in North Carolina or San Diego or wherever, and chasing puss, and eating burritos, eating pussy and eating burritos, tacos and burritos, as it were. So I got to do that for a few months before we deployed. Then we went to Iraq, Al Anbar province, mostly in Ramadi. It was a pretty tame deployment. We had contact maybe twice a month. But it was just such a cool thing to do. I don't know if cool is the word, but I was 23 when I went over there, and I was like, looking back on it, it was such a like a shaping thing for the rest of my life since then. I'm like, all right, if you can go, operate effectively. I don't like to use get through this because that makes it sound like, like you're a fucking bitch. But if you can operate effectively for, 7 months in a combat zone, I feel like you're good with whatever the fuck life throws at you. Like you can handle the rest of it. And that's really what impresses me the most about Marines and, combat armed Marines, infantry Marines, especially. Is that you do that, and it's because it is, even if you're not in contact a lot, the threat of it fucking looms the entire time you're there, that's a mind fuck. And especially we were dealing with like snipers and shit like that. That's what it was down to. Like it wasn't like you didn't have the benefit of an assault. Like guys were just getting hit like from a fucking distance and going down. Like we had a guy, he survived, but like he had a round go, it just grazed the top of his head. It went through his fucking helmet. That's a hyper stressful environment to operate in. So I think it's incredibly impressive how many people out of my generation, which the millennials, I think. We kind of deservedly so get like a rep as being kind of fucking pussies, and I think that there are a lot of pussies in my generation, but I'm very impressed by how many guys I know who did. I did one fucking tour, and it was 7 months, and it was like, all right, that's that. I know guys who did multiple tours. I know guys who did 12 months, 14 months. So there's a very impressive chunk of my generation out there that did that. I think it's cool as fuck that to look back and to have been capable of that. The incidents where we did have enemy contact, they were interesting. Like they're not. It's not like all hell is breaking loose. Like shit unfolds in like a business-like manner. Like I remember we took some very close indirect fire at a patrol base we had set up with the Kurds, and we're sitting around eating. I remember spraying Cheese Whiz on top of beef jerky and drinking this fucking local Middle Eastern, I forget, it was like a green apple flavored soda. It was addicting as fuck. It was fucking good. And all of a sudden, like fucking rockets started hitting the far perimeter of the patrol base, and everyone just kind of fucking jumped into a vehicle, like got under a hard cover, and as soon as the indirect fire was over, we popped out. We got our fucking accountability, got our counts, made sure everyone was alive, and it was like that was it. Same fucking thing. Like we had an RKG attack in Ramadi, and one vehicle got hit on the hood with a handheld anti-tank grenade. They threw it at it. I was in the front vehicle. We peeled off to try to pursue the fucking guy who did it. Couldn't get to him. Pulled back. We had a fucking flare fall from the turret and go off inside of the fucking MRAP I was in. So we had 2 torched vehicles. We had to get out of that. The Iraqis are coming running out of their fucking shops, dousing the MRAP with water. So the inside of it's fucking torched. Like, all right, we hop back in. And we go, there's a fucking helicopter flying overhead who's like, hey, we think we know where the guys came from. We'll lead you to the fucking neighborhood. And we go and, we cordon it off, and the Iraqis raid some house and they pick up a bunch of dudes who I'm sure probably had nothing to do with it. They were probably just guys who fucking pissed off the wrong fucking tribal leader. But it all unfolds in such like a just like you're doing the business of the day, like you're doing your job. Like it's not like there's an adrenaline rush to it for sure, but it's a very, like, you go about it very professionally. Like it's like controlled chaos. I don't know, like it's much more, there's an orderliness to it that I didn't expect. And I know that's kind of unique almost to that kind of counterinsurgency where it's just a quick, one-off, hit and run type of attack. Obviously, if you're in the assault, at the Battle of Fallujah, you're clearing a fucking city. Things are much more chaotic. But even seeing like, the after action, like the footage and the videos and reading like, about how those unfolded, you're like, there's an order to this. Like they're going house to house. They're stacking up. Okay, next house, stack up. This guy in. Like it's very, I think the, people get an impression from like the movies or whatever that it's like just fucking like, spraying and praying and shit. But you can look up there are videos online of the Battle for Fallujah, you watch. There's HBO did a great documentary on the Battle for Marja, and it's really, even infantry in the assault is this sort of slow kind of plodding thing. Even when it's moving quickly, it moves very deliberately. That's probably the best way to describe it. It's a very deliberate occupation. But yeah, we did not, it was not a very high activity deployment. We got to, which, is, it's better than not, I guess. My cousin was there a year before I was, and they lost 2 Marines right off the bat to a 2,000-pound fucking truck bomb. So, as much as I wish my Marines had gotten the chance to do what they trained for and go, locate, close with, destroy the enemy, I'm also glad that we did not run into, a situation where we lost a Marine. So it's better, better to have not done it in retrospect, but also, it is the Marine Corps. You are preparing for combat, and there is, I know, there's an understandable frustration that I think guys feel when they go on a deployment and don't get to engage in direct combat with the enemy, especially when the enemy is taking those little shots at you. Like, when they hit and run like that, they're incredibly hard to effectively engage. When we got hit with that RKG, the turret gunner on a nearby truck actually got a fucking burst out at them, but just missed and lit up a fucking parked car. So sucks for whoever came back to find their vehicle riddled with machine gun bullets, but oh well. But yeah, it was a cool experience in a lot of other ways, despite, the lack of action, as it were. We interacted with the local population a good amount. I'd go for, we'd go for meals at their homes. Like when I first got there, we went and they had like, it was like a mixed spread of like frozen American foods, like fucking microwave pizzas, and local Iraqi foods like fucking chicken and rice that you just like eat by the clump with your hand. And they had like MTV Europe on some sort of rigged up cable feed, and they were playing like pop videos. I don't know, it was like the fucking Jonas Brothers or some shit, like on their shitty little TV in their, it would look ghetto as fuck. Like the living room that we were in would look ghetto as fuck if you saw it in an American's house. But But, like, yeah, we were constantly, like, popping into, like, the homes of tribal leaders and shit and having, they drink this sweet-ass chai over there. They put, like, it's just, like, it's like a shot glass size cup, and they put, like, an inch worth of fucking granulated sugar at the bottom. It's fucking tasty, though. I've been searching high and low for that shit. So, yeah. So there was that. Some good-ass food. I went to the lieutenant governor, had me and a couple guys over for dinner one night because we were guarding the provincial government center, and like his home was a part of it. And he had a fucking spread out, man. That fucking chicken and goat and shit all over these big platters of rice. It's so fucking good. Do yourself a favor. If you haven't had Middle Eastern food, go get down on some of that shit. Get some stuffed grape leaves. Get some kebabs. Shit fucking rules. It is really unfortunate that is such a backwards fucking part of the world, because they got good food. When Middle Eastern chicks are hot, they're fucking hot. And they have warm weather. Like it could be Vegas out there with chicks who look like the fucking Kardashians. Okay? And delicious chicken kebabs. So that region needs to unfuck itself post haste. All right? We could all be having a lot more fun over in the Middle East. In any case, after Iraq, I went back out to Okinawa for like my last 18 months in the Marine Corps, and it was interesting. All you do out there is get fucking hammered, and you go on like these little mini deployments to like Thailand and shit. So I kind of just drank, lifted weights, and soaked up little tidbits of Asian culture, which mostly consisted of food and watching women either stuff things inside of or fire things out of their vaginas. You go to a lot of sex shows when you're stationed in the Pacific. And some of my favorite stories of all time, I would say, unfolded during my Pacific tour, as it were. The Thanksgiving after I got back from Iraq, we went out to I got back from Iraq in October, got back out to Okinawa early November, and me and a couple guys went out to Taiwan for Thanksgiving, because you get like 4 days off or 5 days off for Thanksgiving, so it's not enough time to go home, but you can do a little local traveling. And now Taiwan is not, people get these confused. Taiwan is not where all the ladyboys are. That's Thailand, which I've been there as well, and can spin a yarn or two about that one. But we went to Taipei, Taiwan for Thanksgiving, and with this dude in my unit who's with us, his nickname, we call him the Vag, because he was the adjutant. He was the administrative officer for the squadron, but we used to call him the Vag. He had a very high-pitched, like, squealy voice, and he had been in my platoon at OCS, so I knew him pretty well. And he was always talking about how much pussy he gets. Like, yeah, I'm getting fucking laid. Yeah, I'm getting fucking laid. And he was obsessed. He was from New England. He was obsessed with the Kennedys. And he thought of himself, like, he dressed like fucking Andy Bernard from The Office. If you're really trying to picture this guy and you need, like, a visual, just picture fucking if Andy Bernard was in the Marine Corps and, like, a really high-pitched, squealy voice. But we go out one night, and it was the first night we had just gotten there, and I was fucking exhausted because we had a unit workout at like 5 a.m. that morning. I've been drinking all fucking day, and we had been, going pretty hard that night, and it's late. I'm like, dude, I'm going back to the hotel. And he's like, yeah, you a fucking pussy, man. I'm gonna get laid. So I'm like, all right, whatever. Good luck. I'm like, this motherfucker's not getting laid. So I go back. I go to sleep. And what unfolds is just fucking incredible. I wake up the next morning to the sound of the Vag talking to our other buddy. And we had gotten a suite, so we had like a little living room, and I'm asleep in the bedroom. I hear him talking out in the living room. He's like, "Hey, Bonnie, guess what? Yeah, I got fucking laid last night. Yeah, this is so-and-so. Hey, this is my buddy Bono. Hey, you just fucked a future U.S. senator." Apparently, he brought a woman back to the hotel with him. She was gone by the time I woke up, because hearing this going on, I was like, that motherfucker, if he actually hooked up last night, I am not going to hear the fucking end of it. And so I did the old, you know what you're doing at your parent-teacher night, and you know you're fucked when your parents come home. You do the old, pretending to be asleep. I did that when he burst in the room and said, "Hey, Montone, guess what? Yeah, I had an orgy last night." And I was like, fuck. If he had a fucking three-way with, like, because there are a lot of, his plan was to hook up with, like, a European, I guess there's a lot of, like, European exchange students there. And we were at a bar for, like English chicks and, like, Australian chicks and whatnot. It's a lot of, like, because it's, in that, fucking area, they all go there for whatever fucking reason. They all love Taiwan. It's a cool place, but it just, for whatever reason, it attracts a lot of Australians and Europeans and what have you. So his plan was to hook up with, like, one of them. The chick he brought back to the hotel was Asian. I later learned Filipino. So we're off for a day of sightseeing. I get out of bed, he's bragging about his exploits, talking about how he had these chicks sucking his dick, and he was hooking up with, like, there was, like, 4 of them, or however fucking many there were. And I'm like, all right, fucking, like, yeah, good, that's awesome, man, good for you, just trying to get it over with, just hear it and be done with it. We go down to get cash, because you pay for everything fucking cash when you're doing these touristy things over there for some fucking reason. And his debit card is not working at the ATM. And he's like, "Yeah, what the fuck?" So he calls up his bank, and they're like, "Yeah, we had to turn your card off. You were spending thousands of dollars last night. We had to we shut all of your accounts." And I just see his fucking face goes white. What happened was that he was at the bar running up a fucking tab, acting like, acting like an international man of mystery, when these 4 Filipino hookers come over and start buttering him up, and he's buying them drinks, and he's got a tab going, and they take him into a back room, a little VIP. There are a lot of back rooms at bars in Asia. There are a lot of places you can be. It's very easy to get your dick sucked at a bar in Asia. There are a lot of back rooms that are available with mattresses and couches, and it is known to happen. So they lure him away while his card is still up at the bar, and the bartender proceeds to call all of his friends at every fucking business around town and give out this dipshit's credit card information. And they were going on a fucking spending spree. Or I guess it was his debit card. Like, they're just going on a fucking spree. All the while, he's being distracted by these Filipino chicks who are sucking his dick. And he was under the impression that they were just so taken with him as this man, this American, this suave New Englander, this Kennedy. He would always talk about how much pussy he was getting and how he was like one of the Kennedys. So in his mind, he's just fucking he's Bobby fucking Kennedy wooing these Filipino hookers, getting his fucking dick sucked at a bar in Taipei. And then, like, he starts to realize what happened. And he realized he's been taken. So we had to spot him cash for the rest of the fucking weekend that we're there. And that night we ran into the Filipino hookers at the bar, and he starts going ballistic, and they're just pointing and laughing at him. He's fucking screaming at them that they fucking robbed him, that they took advantage of him, and he sees the one that he took home, and he's just fucking chewing her out, and he's yelling that he's gonna be a fucking US senator one day and come back to Taiwan. It was fucking hilarious. And there's nothing he can do about it. Like, the bouncers just came over and they're like, hey man, you gotta leave these chicks alone. Because obviously they know the hookers, and they know exactly what they did to him. And it's just this stupid fucking American standing there screaming after having gotten taken advantage of by these Filipino bar girls. And the best part about all of this, because we had to spot him cash for like 2 weeks while he was waiting for his new debit and credit cards to arrive from America. And this is in Okinawa, Japan in fucking 2009. So it wasn't like today. Like, we've really made some advancements in just over a decade. So we had to like spot him cash for fucking like toiletries and basics and shit. And he's blowing it all at bars around Okinawa. Like, he's going out doing fucking karaoke and shit. Like, just getting hammered, living it up on our cash that we're spotting him because he couldn't access any of his. So the day his new card arrives, 2 weeks later, it started burning while he pissed. And he had to go get his fucking dick hole swabbed at medical. It was just the ultimate fucking justice. Like, you know how, like, you know, in the movie Seven, your sins are kind of revisited upon you in ironic ways, or like in the movie Saw. Like, this was it was just the perfect way for his bullshit, his lies, and his greed, and his avarice to be revisited upon him. It was the funniest fucking thing in the world. And especially, like, this was back, like, before, you know, when I was, like, you know, 24 years old, back when I could still have, like, a good belly laugh, before the weight of the world had crushed my spine and my soul and my fucking spirit. So it was absolutely fucking hilarious. I do like to revisit that story every once in a while on the podcast here. My other favorite Marine Corps memory from the Pacific, at least, is we losing a staff sergeant in a whorehouse in outside of Lopburi, Thailand. We were out there, we were training with the Thais. This was like, I had like 3 months left in the fucking Marine Corps. I was so ready to get the fuck out. But they sent me to Thailand in charge of this training detachment. So we're out there, and we pay this dude to like drive us around in his little van at night after we finished training. And the Thai officers were like, hey, like, we'll take you out. We got a club. So we go out to dinner with them, and then we go to this club, and we're up in the fucking mezzanine drinking whiskey and club sodas. They got this shitty whiskey over there. It's called 1000 Pipers. It's like knockoff Johnny Walker. So we're drinking that shit, and I'm looking down at the dance floor, and this staff sergeant that's with us is fucking grinding up with everything that moves. Fucking chicks with dicks. Like, they're trannies all over the goddamn place. And I know that's not I know it's, you know, non-binary or whatever the fuck, but I'm talking about a fucking club in rural fucking Thailand, okay? These are fucking ladyboys. Like, that's what's going on. It's the Katoi. That's what's up. Like, it's a chick with dick situation. So like, we gotta go clear the fucking staff sergeant off the fucking dance floor before he does something very, very stupid. So we go down, the three of us go down, we scoop him up, and he's like, yo, I want to fuck. I'm like, yeah, we know you do, but not here. So we go outside and we have the van driver take us find a brothel for us. So we go, and there happens to be a street meat cart right next to the brothel. So we're like, perfect. We're gonna get some a late night snacky. Well, Staff Sergeant goes upstairs and gets his nuts off. So we don't really pay attention to where he went. And a couple hours go by, and we're like, all right, like we should probably go find him. And we go in, and it's a 6-story fucking building, like college dorm style. So each floor has about a dozen rooms on it, and there's like 6 floors, and there's armed security because it's a fucking brothel. So it's run by the local criminals. So we're like explaining the situation, and like they're like, oh, okay, obviously, yeah, you have to find. You're looking for the American that came in here. Yeah. Go. So we're just like knocking on doors, and finally we get about 3 stories up, and this chick says, "You look for your friend?" And I'm like, yeah, we're looking for our friend, and we go, and she points, and she's like, "Your friend?" I'm like, I really hope he's not fucking dead, and he's just passed the fuck out, ass naked, on this chick's bed, with a pink towel. It's like a hand towel covering his ass cheeks. Like she tucked him in. Like he passed out and then she tucked him in. Like I don't know if he was like farting, like blasting ass while he was in there and she was trying to like cover it up, but it was just a little pink hand towel. And I had video of the proceedings. Like I've recorded all of this, but I had to delete it later when the battalion commander started getting nosy and asking about what went on while we were up there, because someone must have fucking snitched and said that we went out, and because you weren't supposed to, there was, the libo was not authorized. Like we just paid some dude to drive us around in his fucking van. So when he started questioning me about shit, I deleted everything off of my fucking digital camera and threw the fucking memory card in the ocean in Thailand, so that there was just no chance that it would ever make it into the hands of the lieutenant colonel. He was like this fucking good old Georgia Southern boy, and he had everything about him reminded me of Will Ferrell doing his George W. Bush impersonation. Like, "Hey, Lieutenant Montone, they're hearing a little bit about some libo up at Lopery. Y'all weren't out drinking and clubbing now, were you?" No, sir. Don't know what you're talking about. And that is when I decided that those pictures and videos would never again see the light of day. So unfortunately, I had to get rid of them. And then I got out like 2 months after getting back. That was my second Thailand deployment. I went there 3 times. One was just for a planning conference where I lived in a hotel in fucking Bangkok for like a month and a half. That was pretty fucking cool. I just got fucking wasted every night and got my dick jerked under the table at a bar by the local waitress, the local wait staff. That was fun. There was this little hotel across the street, and after like work wrapped up for the day, I'd go over there, drink beers, eat fucking pad thai, and this chick would just fucking jerk me off while her friends brought me beers, and another one put on like whatever fucking music I want. I think they had an Akon CD that was pretty banging at the time. I think it was Akon that I would listen to while getting my prick tugged and eating prawn fried rice. Wonderful memories. So that's what I mean when I say there's misery to the Marine Corps when you're freezing your fucking dick off in a hole in the fucking woods in Quantico and it's 40 fucking degrees and it blows. But then there's wonderful times in the Marine Corps when you're eating delicious food and getting jerked off and getting served by 19, 20-year-old Thai women. So, yin and yang. Take the good with the bad. I will say, though, as I wrap this up, if you know like veterans in your life, like people who are getting out of the military, getting coming back into the civilian world, there's this weird tendency that people have to kind of treat us with like kid gloves. Like, I don't know what it is. Part like respect and part like not knowing if we're all like fucking riddled with like PTSD or whatever. I have found that veterans are, if you serve in the military, like they're very capable people, tend to be creative problem solvers. They can handle doing things in like a high stress environment. They like to be handed a lot of responsibility and kind of like, give them hey, the ball's in your court. Here's what we need done. Here's the way we usually do it, but you're free to find a creative solution using these resources. That's the way I think deal with veterans. They love, we're people who naturally, like I was talking about in the beginning, like one of the things I love the most about being in the Marine Corps was like serving with this group of like-minded fucking meatheads where we had a shared goal at work and then a shared goal on the weekend, right? We're sharing the goal of fucking infantry in the assault during the workday, and then we're sharing the goal of everybody going out and getting some trim on the weekend. It's a very cohesive team. It's tight. Everyone works well together. Your vets are going to work the best in that environment. And I know, in corporate America or whatever, like you can't be like, all right, good week, everybody. Now let's go out and chase pussy. But the more you make guys feel like they're, part of a team, contributing to the bigger picture, part of the mission, and don't treat them like, oh, like this is like just a fucking idiot who only knows how to kick down doors and carry a heavy pack. Like, no, you have to understand, like, if you're doing that, like, especially in like a fucking urban environment, like the smarts and the logical and problem solving abilities that you have to function effectively in those conditions, and to be able to do so under incredible stress and under incredible pressure. Those are really huge assets that I think people kind of miss when looking at, hey, like this is a veteran, what do they bring to the table? It's not just about, hey, oh, thank you for your service, this, that, and the other thing. It's like, hey, look at these guys as people who can really get a lot of shit done if you empower them to. And it's really the best way. Like, people say, like, what can we do for veterans? How can we help them? That's the best thing you can do, because that will alleviate a lot of the kind of stress and the trouble that go with transitioning into the civilian world. Like, transitioning to the civilian world is a motherfucker. Like, because you're going from that, like, tight team environment where you're doing all sorts of, like, cool fucking shit, and you're part of a big mission. Like, even right before I got out, like, while I was, like, doing my out processing and shit, there was that horrible earthquake and, like, tsunamis and shit hit, mainland Japan, and we had to send, like, equipment and Marines up to do that. So it was just, there's a part of a larger mission that you're part of. And to go from being part of that one day to not having it the next day, because you transition out to the civilian world, it could be that's like a mental motherfucker. Like, I went from being in charge of 120 people to literally living at my fucking parents' house and sleeping in the bedroom that I slept in when I grew up. Like, that's a fucking, as much of a culture shock as it is to join the military, there's a reverse culture shock coming out. And this was like, again, this was 2009. Finding a job in New York from Okinawa in 2009 wasn't easy. Like, you had to kind of get out, go home, pound the pavement and find shit still. Like, it wasn't like social media was kind of like, back then. If you sent someone an email, they might respond. It was a very sort of like confusing and stressful time. So if you know someone who's going through that, and there are ways that you can kind of empower them and let them, play to their strengths as people, and based on their skills as veterans, definitely do so. And with that in mind, I know this has been kind of like a rambling all over the place episode. I'm gonna check out the comment section. Nick G and Thomas Hager dominating. The Vag sounds like he sounded like intern David mixed with Roland. That is a very good descriptor of the Vag, actually. Sounds like he's gonna find a penis. Let's see. Vet TV. I'm actually aware of Vet TV. I follow them on social media. I haven't looked at any of their shit lately. I think what's the dude's name? Donnie O'Malley? Is that him over there? I've watched some of their sketches and shit. I enjoyed them. Scott, I thank you for your service. I'm not even from America. Well, you're quite welcome, Scott. Happy to do it. Yeah, it was an absolute fucking blast serving in the Marine Corps. The misery aside, it was a cool thing to have done. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad to have spent this time here with you tonight. I am gonna wrap things up. I am on the note of my time in the Pacific. I am getting ready to put together a nice Asian style chicken soup. So I got to get into the kitchen here. So I will leave you with these big fat titties for the troops, and a reminder to tell your friends. Come check out the Savage Sacktap Live. If you like big tits, you'll watch the video stream. If for some reason you don't like big tits, the audio is available as the Savage Sacktap wherever podcasts are downloaded. Social media, facebook.com/The Savage Crew. Mike Montone on YouTube, at Mike Montone on Twitter, at Gary_Moyler, MOYLER on Instagram, and I will catch you guys later. Adios.